It is only the individual, after all, who suffers. The group does not suffer.
A herd morality inverts the natural values of life. The individual who is strong and independent, who attains feelings of power spontaneously through their creative endeavors and great health, is deemed by herd morality to be evil. On the other hand, all those who belong to the herd, the mediocre last men and the weak and impotent slaves, the vengeful disguised as judges, are deemed to be good. As Nietzsche put it in Ecce Homo. Finally, this is what is most terrible of all. The concept of the good man signifies that one sides with all that is weak, sick, failure, suffering of itself. The principle of selection is crossed. An ideal is fabricated from the contradiction against the proud and well-turned-out human being who says yes, who is sure of the future, who guarantees the future. And he is now called evil. And all this was believed as morality. Herd morality is the danger of dangers because of its ability to seduce those anxious and fearful in the face of the uncertainty and isolation associated with striving for greatness. In the confusion of their development, longing to wrest from themselves for once so as to be free from what oppresses them, herd morality acts as a siren's voice, which offers the potential higher man a way to escape from his burdensome fate, into the comfort of mediocrity.
A close reading of 20th century history indicates, as nothing else can, the horrors that accompany loss of faith in the idea of the individual. It is only the individual, after all, who suffers. The group does not suffer. Only those who compose it. Thus, the reality of the individual must be regarded as primary. If suffering is to be regarded seriously, without such regard, there can be no motivation to reduce suffering and therefore no respite.
People do, that it is not easy always to act on abstract principles. No, it is not easy. But how much harder is it to have to act on them without knowing what they are? Your subconscious is like a computer, more complex a computer than man can build, and its main function is the integration of your ideas. Who programs it? Your conscious mind. If you default, if you don't reach any firm convictions, your subconscious is programmed by chance, and you deliver yourself into the power of ideas you do not know you have accepted. But one way or the other, your computer gives you printouts, daily and hourly, in the form of emotions, which are lightning-like estimates of the things around you, calculated according to your values. If you programmed your computer by conscious thinking, you know the nature of your values and emotions. If you didn't, you don't. Many people, particularly today, claim that man cannot live by logic alone, and there's the emotional element of his nature to consider, and that they rely on the guidance of their emotions. Well, so did the astronaut in my story. The joke is on him, and on them. Man's values and emotions are determined by his fundamental view of life. The ultimate programmer of his subconscious is philosophy, the science which, according to the emotionalists, is impotent to affect or penetrate the murky mysteries of their feelings. The quality of a computer's output is determined by the quality of its input. If your subconscious is programmed by chance, its output will have a corresponding character. You have probably heard the computer operator's eloquent term, GIGO, which means garbage in, garbage out. The same formula applies to the relationship between a man's thinking and his emotions. A man who is run by emotions is like a man who is run by a computer whose printouts he cannot read. He does not know whether its programming is true or false, right or wrong, whether it's set to lead him to success or destruction, whether it serves his goals or those of some evil, unknowable power. He is blind on two fronts, blind to the world around him and to his own inner world, unable to grasp reality or his own motives. And he is in chronic terror of both. Emotions are not tools of cognition. The men who are not interested in philosophy need it most urgently. They are most helplessly in its power. The men who are not interested in philosophy absorb its principles from the cultural atmosphere around them, from schools, colleges, books, magazines, newspapers, movies, television, etc. Who sets the tone of a culture? A small handful of men, the philosophers.
And from the book Sun King, Soul Harmonica, quoting Paracelsus. By then, Paracelsus implies much more than the radiance of the sun, a lantern, or a candle. To him, light is the perfect symbol or emblem or figure of total well-being. Light is the cause of health, and invisible light, no less real if unseen, is the cause of wisdom. I realized that Paracelsus was holistically syncing our humanness to light, the emanations of our composition, the four rivers, solid, liquid, gas, and radiance. This shot me into a remembering of something that spoke to me while walking through a silted creek bed. He went on into their old ways of profound knowledge and seeing the universe, then recording it in symbol and in cosmology. The ancients said that there was a shamanhood or an order of initiates that were created. Those who are persistent in asking the right questions are initiated over time to higher truth. There was a system kept in the body and in the minds of shamans that encouraged education, apophatic thinking, and a genuine desire to know. They taught with the nature and cosmology the structure of matter, procreation, regeneration, and genetics of the first humans. They developed symbols with deep layers of sacred scientific meaning about the universe and their place within it. They knew that all science was based on metaphysical and esoteric principles, and without these elements, science was fruitless and lacked in emotion and meaning. All science is revealing the universe, so it must sync religion, theology, philosophy, and art, and consciousness into a unified whole. If it did not, its relevance and truth would be trivial and short-lived.
Clean up your room. That's a good start. Organize your local landscape. Schedule your time. Start taking control of yourself. See if you can stop saying things you know to be lies. How in the world can you dream up things that you don't know? There's something that's not you. Jung would call it the self, which he thought of as the totality of your being across time and space that helps guide you when you have to make a difficult decision. And a difficult decision might be, well, what do I need to sacrifice? How do I need to discipline myself, right? What do I need to forego? Well, how do you figure those things out? You have to fractionate the oppressed all the way down to the level of the individual. It's not an accident that the axiomatic Western individual is someone who was unfairly nailed to a cross and tortured. Pick up your damn suffering and try to be a good person so you don't make it worse. Well, that's a truth. So you think, well, what do you do about that? Well, you accept it. That's what life is like. It's suffering. Well, who wants to admit that? Well, just think about it.
If you let a cross help you get across, you won't get crossed up, but you'll be on the cross because you done got a cross on the cross. So if you can remember this, you won't get lost on the cross while you're trying to get across. know about it. I know that you knew already, because y'all are the hippest people in the world.